Thank you for listening to Curious Cat, a podcast that examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. I'm your host, Jennifer Holtz. Join me every week as I explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit. Welcome to Curious Cat. In writing, it's said there are two types of writers, plotters and pantsers. For the non-authors out there, a plotter is someone that creates an outline. Sometimes it's a loose skeleton of a novel, but for others, it's a fleshy plan for every scene, every chapter, every story arc. Then there are the pantsers. They write by the seat of their pants. Like the plotters, though, they could sit across from you and be interviewed as each character of their book. They know them that well. But like the reader, they won't know where the story goes until they type the end. So guess what kind of author I am? Yeah, pantser. My podcast is the same. I don't know where this space will take us next week until it just falls into my lap. Last week, I had the honor of speaking with my dear friend Monique about the magic of dragons. And like always with us, other messages bubbled up to the surface. They just had to be said. If I had to capture them in a title, it would be, "You are innately special and powerful." And I'm talking to you right now, the listener. The magic of the world isn't something meant for only a select few. It's for all of us to create a present moment and a future filled with love and hope. As we wrapped the interview, I dove into a book and bam, this week's topic hit me square in the third eye. It is the perfect next topic. I couldn't have scripted this next chapter better than the universe did. Let's get into it. Oh, wait, first, a full confession. I'd recorded this episode already, and as I was doing the audio edits, I wasn't happy with it. It had great information, an interesting story, and a powerful message, but it was buried in a tangle of crossed wires. I'd gotten lost in the whole message of the Emerald Tablet. You see, the provenance of the Emerald Tablet it's complicated. And a pissing match over who claims to be the culture that originally found and deciphered it is still ongoing. I mean, look at the Wikipedia footnotes and the edits just to see. It is ongoing almost 1,000 years later. But like an ancient game of telephone, each telling of the discovery of the mystical tablet and its contents gets more and more grandiose and further from the truth. Then there's the text itself. As poetic as it is convoluted, there are phrases, nuggets of gold in the prose that ring true to me. And I'm sure you will find truth in passages too. And your interpretation of this whole thing, it is as legitimate as the droves of white-bearded men that have whittled their lives away to find that truth and maybe even profit off of it. So listen to your gut. Let's get into it. The Emerald Tablet, take 2, done my way and offered in love. I first learned of the Emerald Tablet from Robert Simmons' book, The Alchemy of Stone. He and his wife own a crystal and jewelry shop, and in the late 70s, copied versions of the Emerald Tablet were making the rounds in a kind of secret way among crystal shop owners. It caught his attention then, and his telling of this reminded me of a chainmail thing that happened during my childhood during the same time period in the late 70s. Okay, so houses received in their mailboxes letters that contained a chocolate chip cookie recipe and an explanation from the writer of the letter saying they'd asked Mrs. Fields for their cookie recipe and they were charged some exorbitant amount for it, $500. I don't even remember. But in order to enact a sort of cookie revenge or get the most value out of the hefty price they paid, they copied the recipe and mailed it out to everyone they knew. And the recipient of the recipe was asked to enjoy the recipe, but also do the same in turn. Copy it and send it out to everybody they knew. It was a really nice, non-threatening piece of chainmail. But back to the Emerald Tablet. Simmons only said that it seemed to hold ancient wisdom, hermetic teachings that somehow relayed how to create the secrets of alchemy and the holy grail of alchemical pursuit, the creation of the Philosopher's Stone. That got me curious. I'm going to read the passage from his book, The Alchemy of Stone, directly so that you don't have to guess or interpret what I'm saying. He says, "Where could I find a worldview in which my scientific side and my mystical side would both be comfortable? During the very first year of my life among the stones, 1985 to 1986, there was a photocopied document called the Emerald Tablet circulating among our customers and other crystal shop owners, and I got a copy. Its tone was strangely compelling, but I could not make heads or tails of its meaning, except that a being named Hermes Thoth was speaking about spiritual enlightenment and something called alchemy. I passed the pages on to someone and forgot about them until about 10 years later when I ran across a book called The Emerald Tablet by a writer named Dennis Hawk. This book described the practice of spiritual alchemy, presenting it as a path still available and useful to modern people. I learned that alchemy was more than the primitive precursor to chemistry I had thought it was, and Hawk's book was more comprehensible to me than the channeled pamphlet I had read so long before. Again, I filed away the information and kept moving on my own path, but the alchemical goals of achieving spiritual awakening and transformation for oneself and the world were very much the same as the personal aspirations I had developed. Alchemy simmered on the back burner of my mind for another decade. Pretty fascinating, isn't it? So I couldn't help myself after hearing about that and hearing about the hints of the secrets of alchemy. I was hungering to learn about the holy grail of alchemy, but it's not time to get to that. Here's some other useful information about the actual tablet. And okay, I was really tempted, and that was take one. I read from Wikipedia directly, and it really has become a cluster of people fighting over provenance. So instead, I turn again to Robert Simmons' book, The Alchemy of Stone, which I have the links to in the show notes, and I highly recommend that you buy a copy. It's an amazing tome. It is just an amazing resource. And this is from the section of the book about Moldavite, and it's titled Moldavite and the Emerald Tablet. I have already raised the subject of the fabled Emerald Tablet of Hermes in an earlier chapter, and I want to go back to it here as we are exploring the qualities of Moldavite. A Wikipedia article gives us some background. Quote, "The Emerald Tablet is a compact and cryptic piece of Hermetica, or Egyptian Greek wisdom text from the 2nd century or earlier, reputed to contain the secret of the prima materia and its transmutation. It was highly regarded by European alchemists as the foundation of their art and its Hermetic tradition. The original source of the Emerald Tablet is unknown. The oldest documentable source of the text is the Book of Bolinus the Wise on the Causes, written in Arabic between the 6th and 8th centuries. In his book, Bolinus frames the Emerald Tablet as ancient Hermetic wisdom. He tells his readers that he discovered the text in a vault below a statue of Hermes in Tyana, and that inside the vault, an old corpse on a golden throne held the Emerald Tablet. The tablet became a mainstay of medieval and Renaissance alchemy. Commentaries and or translations were published by, among others, Roger Bacon, Trithemius, Michael Meyer, Albertus Magnus, and Isaac Newton. The concise text was a popular summary of alchemical principles wherein the secrets of the philosopher's stone were thought to have been described. C.G. Jung identified the emerald tablet with a table made of green stone, which he encountered in the first of a set of his dreams and visions, beginning at the end of 1912 and climaxing in his writing 7 Sermons to the Dead in 1916. Okay, footnote, I'll be looking that up later. I've never heard of it. 7 Sermons to the Dead? Wow, that's interesting. I'll go on. Quote, the reason I want to return to the emerald tablet here is because of the resemblance of Moldavite and its traits to this legendary object associated with the origins of alchemy. To illustrate this, I will once again go to the emerald tablet translation named Aureorum Octulum Philosophorum, Hidden Gold of the Philosophers by Giorgio Beto, published in Frankfurt, Germany in 1610. Number 1. This is true and remote from all cover of falsehood. Number 2. Whatever is below is similar to that which is above. Does that sound familiar? We've heard the phrase as above, so below. That's the origins of it. But I'll continue. Through this, the marvels of the work of one thing are procured and perfected. Number 3. Also, as all things are made from one by the consideration of one, so all things were made from this one by conjunction. 4. The father of it is the sun, the mother the moon. 5. The wind bore it in the womb. Its nurse is the earth, the mother of all perfection. Number 6a. Its power is perfected. Number 7, if it is turned into earth, 7a, separate the earth from the fire, the subtle and thin from the crude and coarse prudently with modesty and wisdom. 8, this ascends from the earth into the sky and again descends from the sky to the earth and receives the power and efficacy of things above and of things below. 9, by this means you will acquire the glory of the whole world, and so you will drive away all shadows and blindness. 10, for this by its fortitude snatches the palm from all other fortitude and power, for it is able to penetrate and subdue everything subtle and everything crude and hard. 11a, by this means the world was founded. 12, and hence the marvelous conjunctions of it and admirable effects, since this is a way by which these marvels may be brought about. 13, and because of this, they have called me Hermes Trismegistus, since I have the 3 parts of the wisdom and philosophy of the whole universe. 14, my speech is finished, which I have spoken concerning the solar work. Simmons goes on to say, although we can't know with authority that Moldavite is the stone that constituted the emerald tablet, the foundation of alchemy, we can look at the translation and consider where there are correspondences. As an image, the emerald tablet was a green stone that was inscribed with these cryptic teachings from Hermes. As we go through the text, line by line, it is important to view all of this through the lens of true imagination rather than literalism. We need to try to see this on multiple levels. One of the mysterious possibilities that has come to me is that Moldavite, which resonates with so much of the Emerald Tablet story, may be a sort of embodiment of the tablet's wisdom. It seems to me that Moldavite has the ability to transmit its essence. It would almost be as if Moldavite is a manifestation of the same mystery referred to in the Emerald Tablet. The similarities we see between Moldavite's properties and those described in the text of the Emerald Tablet work together to point toward that mystery. Simmons continues, so let's get back to the text. We already understand and have examined the ideas expressed in the first 3 lines, which affirm the alchemical dictum, as above, so below. In line 4, the statement, the father of it is the sun, the mother, the moon, is a provocative one. I can't think of a better way to poetically describe the nature of a meteorite. The physical origins of moldavite fit well with line 5. Quote, "The wind bore it in the womb. Its nurse is the earth, the mother of all perfection." End quote. The descent of the moldavite meteorite from space would certainly have been an intense journey through the Earth's atmosphere, generating a gigantic amount of wind. And if, as is believed by many scientists, moldavite is a product of the fusion of meteoric material with earthly rock, then the metaphoric statement that, quote, "its nurse is the earth," also makes sense. Lines 7 and 7a tell us, "If it is turned into earth, separate the earth from the fire, the subtle and thin from the crude and coarse, prudently, with modesty and wisdom." Following what is understood about moldavite, I interpret this to mean that when the meteorite struck the ground, it was turned into earth. In the next moment, there was a gigantic explosion with intense heat, able to actually vaporize rock and send it hurtling into the sky. Because the material was vaporized, it was instantly distilled, meaning that impurities were purged, such that the moldavite, which was ultimately created, is virtually pure green glass, without any bits of gravel or other material embedded in it. The phrases, quote, "separate the earth from the fire, the subtle and thin from the crude and coarse," describes this intense purification within the explosive alchemical furnace of the meteoric impact. Line 8 gives an uncannily appropriate description of how moldavite may have formed and simultaneously acquired the energetic properties for which it is well known. This ascends from the earth into the sky and again descends from the sky to the earth and receives the power and efficacy of things above and of things below. The explosion of the meteorite upon impact with the ground sent a superheated plume of gaseous rock shooting upward into the stratosphere. As the gas cooled, it condensed into droplets of liquid gas, which descended like fiery rain to the surface below. And while no one knows the how and why of moldavite's vibrational power, it could be that the ascent and descent, due to the incredible force of the explosion, impressed the newly born moldavite with unique properties. It is most certainly a literal physical embodiment of the joining of matter from the heavens with the matter of the earth, as above, so below. Looking at line 9, it's not difficult to make the case that the text could apply to the spiritual qualities of moldavite. Quote, "By this means you will acquire the glory of the whole world, and so you will drive away all shadows and blindness." The union with the light I experienced, and this is Simmons writing here, the union with the light Simmons experienced during the moldavite meditation, in which he journeyed to the great central sun, could qualify as the glory of the whole world, at least as far as he was concerned. I'll continue though. The driving away of shadows and blindness mentioned in this line reminds me very much of moldavite's tendency to catalyze the rapid purging of habits, relationships, and situations that are not for one's highest good. Line 10 further develops this theme, but Beto's translation is rather murky. In a different translation from an Arabic source, the line reads, "the force of forces, which overcomes every subtle thing and penetrates into everything gross." So once again, it seems natural to me to describe the energy of moldavite, or that of a number of powerful stones, including all of the 4 cornerstones that he mentions in his book, The Alchemy of Stones. The currents of moldavite penetrate and influence both our subtle bodies and our physical or gross bodies. Line 11a offers a challenge to the imagination. By this means the world was founded. How can we understand this? Could it be that the world we know was founded by a dramatic incident such as this meteoric collision? I can't say, but we do know that the arrival of moldavite was such a powerful geophysical event that it caused the reversal of Earth's magnetic poles. Wow, that's pretty powerful. Such meteoric events have been linked to mass extinctions and sudden bursts of evolution. On the spiritual level, it remains a mystery, but we know that the arrival of Moldavite occurred earlier than any known evidence of existence of human beings. We evolved after that. Could Moldavite's cataclysmic arrival and reversal of the Earth's magnetic field have somehow seeded a burst of evolution? He asks. With line 12, we again encounter some difficult wording, quote, and hence the marvelous conjunctions of it and admirable effects. It seems to the author to be a comment about the beneficial qualities of whatever object or substance, the offspring of the sun and moon, has been described throughout the text. A 12th century Latin version says it more simply. From this come marvelous adaptations, of which this is the procedure. Line 13 lays the claim of authorship upon the legendary Hermes Trismegistus, the thrice greatest Hermes, who was said to be an incarnation of Thoth and the progenitor of alchemy. And because of this, they have called me Hermes Trismegistus, since I have the three parts of the wisdom and philosophy of the whole universe. Line 14 completes the text. My speech is finished, which I have spoken concerning the solar work. The meaning here is simple, except for the mention of the solar work, known in some texts as the operation of the sun. I can offer one meaningful connection of this line with Moldavite. He says, the solar work reminds me once again that Moldavite took me on a spontaneous meditative journey to the great central sun, which, as I have said, awakened my capacity to feel and interpret all stone energies. I love this so much. I have to read the last passage too. I have taken us on a speculative journey into the correspondences that appear to connect Moldavite with the emerald tablet, the foundation stone of alchemy. Is the story of the emerald tablet a myth, a pattern of symbolism that sheds light upon resonant things and events in the manifest world? Or is the text a symbolic report of real events in the history of the earth, perhaps prior to the beginnings of humanity? Or could it be that the pattern of the Emerald Tablet story and the principles of alchemy are so deeply embedded in the world's nature that the genesis of Moldavite and the Emerald Tablet text are simply different manifestations of the same archetypal pattern? This idea, as above, so below, is expressed in the Emerald Tablet and is one we examined earlier in our delving into fractal geometry. And in nature, the spiral of a snail shell resembles the spiral of the Milky Way. As above, so below. There's no way to know the degree to which either, neither, or both of these hypotheses reflect an objective truth, but they strike a resonating chord in the imagination, and I've always been beguiled with the Emerald Tablet and with the Stone of the Grail. The fact that I feel multiple resonances between these stories and the nature of Moldavite is the reason I hold these thoughts and images within myself, and it is why I am offering them to you. The point of this is not so much to solve the problem as it is to carry the mystery inside of ourselves. Oh God, I love that line. The next time, he says, you pick up a Moldavite to meditate or to put inside your pillowcase for dreaming, I suggest that you center your attention directly on this mystery. Don't create an opinion about it. Be there, not knowing. End quote. Oh my God. And that was such a better way to introduce you and get you familiar with the Emerald Tablet mystery, because it's not as convoluted as the craziness that's on Wikipedia, which I encourage you to go check out on your own, because don't take my word for it. So I already confessed to you, I couldn't help myself. After researching the Emerald Tablets, the hints to the secrets it held made me crave learning more about the holy grail of alchemy. Here's some of that information. So first up, the Harry Potter books and movies were insufficient sources to learn about the real alleged Philosopher's Stone, or sorcerer's stone as the American books had on their cover. All I got from these fictional works is that this rumored mystical stone was near impossible to create, that it could turn common metal to gold and keep the owner alive basically as long as they paid their health insurance premiums. Because the Emerald Tablet professes to give the reader the knowledge needed to create one, I thought I'd better add some depth here in case one of you is successful out there and wants to send me some of your gold. Okay, I'm just kidding, but you will want to know what you're getting into, right? From Mel, M-E-L science.com, quote, "The Philosopher's Stone and also the Stone of Wisdom was the name that medieval alchemists gave to a substance that has the ability to transform base metals into the noblest of metals, gold. For centuries, scientists were possessed by the idea of creating this divine elixir, which could heal people from disease and grant them immortality." The article goes on. When the science of alchemy first arose, its followers believed that the miraculous substance had the ability to turn tin and copper into gold, and they thought that substance was a stone. However, over time, this belief changed, and medieval scientists began to work on creating a powder or a liquid elixir. Alchemists believed that the magical substance could be created by adding and mixing compounds encountered in nature. Primarily sulfur and mercury were used. The labors of alchemists were not in vain. Thanks to the constant efforts of alchemists to create the Philosopher's Stone, the modern science of chemistry arose. The work of many scientists was not in vain, the article notes. In their constant efforts to obtain the long-awaited miraculous elixir, medieval scientists made many important discoveries during their laborious quests. They discovered nitric, sulfic, and acetic acid. They created alcohol. They obtained new salts. They compiled the first system of chemical elements in the world. Alchemists discovered new substances like antimony and arsenic. They discovered zinc and bismuth and also nonmetals of sulfur and carbon. So why the fascination with alchemy? It spans all cultures, doesn't it? From the intro to the Alchemical Handbook, written by Frater Albertus, author Israel Regardi describes alchemy in the simplest terms. Quote, "Alchemy has exerted a strange fascination over mankind for centuries. The underlying philosophical theorem was that if the divine will had originally acted upon the prima materia to produce the precious metals and all else, why shouldn't the alchemist purified in mind and body and an expert in the then known laboratory techniques seek to emulate the same natural process in a shorter span of time?" There are some great alchemists, famous alchemists out there, great minds that labored tirelessly to find the Philosopher's Stone. Here are just a few of the renowned progressive alchemists who made their contribution to developing the science. Number 1, Albertus Magnus. He investigated minerals, studied philosophy, and conducted experiments on non-organic chemistry, and was quite ahead of his time. He was the author of the famous treatise on alchemy. He believed that the Philosopher's Stone would mature if you use the right components. 2, Arnoldas de Villanova. Brilliant mind of his time. He gave audacious lectures at the university in Paris. Contemporaries believed that he had succeeded in discovering the Philosopher's Stone. Number 3, Ramon Lull was known as the greatest alchemist of all time. He claimed that he had achieved the transmutation of base metals into gold. Number 4, Paracelsus was a renowned alchemist and doctor who created new medicines while studying magic. He spent many years looking for the Philosopher's Stone, which he wanted to use to heal people. Number 5, Nicholas Flamel, an ordinary craftsman who became fabulously wealthy, claiming that he had found the secret of the Philosopher's Stone. Okay, and this is me, Jen. At least the Harry Potter books got that right. Nicholas Flamel was the same name that J.K. Rowling used as a character. A few facts about alchemy. Alchemy did a great deal for the development of science, but it gradually became a hindrance to scientific research and deteriorated. There are still people today who devote their time to this old lore, and some even try to make the Philosopher's Stone in their homes. Before we try to do this ourselves, let's look at the theory of creating this material. The old alchemists believed that the known metals simply grew in the ground, gradually maturing. They believed that sulfur took an active part in this process. Gold was considered to be a mature metal and iron an immature metal. How to obtain the Philosopher's Stone? Oh, I'm going to just read this directly from the article. Alchemists believed that healthy sulfur of a red color was present in gold, and white sulfur was present in silver. When spoiled, red sulfur came into contact with silver, and copper was formed, while black sulfur could conceive lead. Thus, types of sulfur influence the sort of metal obtained as a result. And I'm giggling here because somebody really spent a lot of time digging into that and thinking it would lead to gold. But anyway, we do the best we can, right? I'll continue. To help a metal to attain the required condition, alchemists carried out thorough treatment of the element. As a result of these experiments, alchemists made new scientific discoveries, which we talked about. Sometimes they were called witches and persecuted. In those dark times, scientists were even burned at the stake. The general public still wonders whether it's possible to create the Philosopher's Stone. No metal transforms into another metal when it reacts with sulfur, so spoiler alert, don't go trying this in your garage. They can find out for themselves if they devote a lot of time to science and conduct chemical experiments. But the answer will still be no. But you can conduct original experiments at home and feel yourself to be a true alchemist. There's a dark side to diving into alchemy. From the intro of the Alchemist's Handbook, author Israel Regardie writes, one has only to read a good history of chemistry or to peruse a little of the vast alchemical literature to become aware of its awful seductiveness. Men have left homes and families, squandered fortunes, incurred sickness and disease, gambled away prestige, social, and other positions in quest of the goals perceived in the alchemical dream, longevity, perfect health, and the ability to transmute base metals into gold. End quote. So summed up, alchemy can become an obsession. It is not for the faint of heart. And while you are in the lab tinkering, please don't forget to feed your cat or yourself. It's all about balance. I have to ask, was the Philosopher's Stone a metaphor? Like the Holy Grail, a cup that Jesus allegedly drank from during the Last Supper, it's been posited that instead of being an actual drinking vessel, a cup, was it a metaphor for a woman that bore his child, hidden in plain sight knowledge that Jesus left behind descendants? But in the case of the Philosopher's Stone, what if the process of transfiguring common metals into precious ones through rigid study and a series of steps was a metaphor to tell all of us the truth, hidden in plain sight, that we, each of us, we can transform ourselves from something the rest of the world considers common, plain, humdrum, forgettable, into something valuable and exceptional by a process of gaining knowledge, acting with compassion, and living in the present. We can transform ourselves into gold by finding balance, pursuing knowledge, and remembering what lies in the divine stardust of our soul. I'm not the only one to pose this question. I did a web search and found this on Quora from Nyx Shadowhawk, an occultist writes, quote, It is a metaphor. The philosopher's stone is you, your soul, having been tempered by fire and water and transmuted into the most perfect version of itself. It is a spiritually purified human soul. The general process of how that works has 3 main stages, they continue. In the black stage, the soul is separated from the body, which figuratively dies. In the white stage, the soul unites with the spirit of the divine. In the red stage, the soul is reunited with the resurrected body. The specifics of this process vary and are obscured in layers and layers of symbolism and metaphor. The chemical process of alchemy, involving literal mercury and sulfur and the like, is meant to demonstrate this process symbolically. It was never meant to literally turn lead into gold. Turning lead to gold is itself a metaphor for purifying something until it reaches the highest form of itself. Wow, I love that so much. I wanted to also share there are crystals and gems that help us to access sacred and divine knowledge, including the Akashic records, and use any or all or one of these stones or something else that comes to mind as I read this list to help you access divine knowledge, Akashic records, and sacred learning through dreams or meditations. They include moldavite, alexandrite, ammonite, rainbow angelite, blue apatite, aqua lemuria, calcite, stellar beam cavincite, celestian quartz, covalite, creedite, datolite, celestial quartz, euclase, geothite, eulandite, labradorite, lapis lazuli, Lemurian mist crystals, which sounds like a dragon energy, doesn't it? Libyan gold tektite, magnesite, chondrite, meteorite, papagonite, petrified wood, scheelite, and white phantom quartz. Also, I have to remind you, you can call on angels to help you connect with divine knowledge and the Akashic records. Any that come to mind for you in this moment are perfect. Others that come to mind are Raziel and Archangel Orion. Specific to alchemy, though, I wanted to add to our list of stones. Robert Simmons recommends cinnabar, cuprite, girasol quartz, and wolfenite, which sounds fantastic. Thank you for listening to Curious Cat. Did you hear the good news? Curious Cat is on the top 20 list of best supernatural podcasts on Good Pods. Yes, hooray! Be sure to subscribe, or if you love us, recommend us to a friend. I would be so appreciative. Until next time, stay curious. I love you.
Hey, you. Yes, you. Are you looking for a new podcast that appeals to your scientific curiosity, but is also a little bit spooky?
Show me how I died in a past life.
Well, look no further, because this cat is where it's at.
He had concerns about the ethics surrounding AI, feeling they had achieved consciousness.
Curious Cat Podcast examines the shadowy space where science and the supernatural collide. Listen every week with your host, Jennifer Holtz, as she and her guests explore what it means to be a soul in a meat suit.
We were healing karma together. They were all kind of predestined to resolve something.
Listen on all your favorite streaming apps and continue the conversation on Twitter at CuriousCatPodCA, or find Jennifer and all her links at Jennifer L. Holtz, spelled HOTES.com.